What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett.
Lance,
This is Rants or Us. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We hope you guys can help us get there. All right, so this is going to be our American Gods character breakdown. Our first one of Mad Sweeney. We're going to try to do a few more of these simply because we miss American Gods and we would love, anything that we can talk about with it, we're going to do.
yeah,
So, did you think that season three really missed Mad Sweeney? I think
I
it
do.
did.
I do too. Matt Sweeney was my favorite character, and partly when he died, I was kind of like, well, why? Why am I watching this anymore?
I know. I'll admit it was probably the saddest death that was on there. I mean, at least
Yeah,
in my mind. Um,
yeah,
I know we've done a lot of videos about American Gods on here, and the one thing
well,
that
yeah,
keeps coming back is everybody saying the show went down when Mr. Nancy wasn't on there. And I keep replying in here. I get it with Mr. Nancy, why people liked him. But at the same time, I'm like, to me, it's Mad Sweeney. Like, to me,
yeah.
it's
For
like
me,
Mad
for sure.
Sweeney being off it.
For me, for sure. When Matt Sweeney was gone, it not only was it missing a Mad Sweeney story. It was missing on the Laura Moon story. Like them
Yeah.
two together was good.
Yeah. He was really, you know what? If you had asked me in season two, what do you think of Laura Moon? I'm like, I kind of enjoyed the Laura Moon, Mad Sweeney storyline. But then in season three, when Mad Sweeney wasn't there, I was like,
Yeah,
I don't like this character of Laura Moon hardly at
yeah.
all. Like, she's cynical. She seems like she brought down even Salim in a lot of different ways when she was paired up with him. Like, I just didn't like anything about her.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, I was like, you know what? It's Mad Sweeney is the reason why I liked her character. You take
Won't even
you take
tolerate
him
her
out, you don't
character, I
have
guess.
that.
Because I didn't necessarily like her character even then, but at least I could stand it, you know.
Yeah. Well, at
Uh,
least I kind of felt like, okay, she's being a dick to Mad Sweeney because Mad Sweeney's a dick to her. Like, it kind of felt that way in a lot of ways.
well, yeah,
Um,
she seemed like such a,
yeah,
you know,
she was just. I mean, in a
yeah,
lot of ways, she really was, and she was like, I felt like in season three, she was one character that every time I saw her pop on screen, I was like, oh man, I don't like this character of hers.
yeah.
Like,
I didn't enjoy her without Mad Sweeney for
no, I
sure.
didn't. And I thought when they brought, I was a big fan of Salim, and um, I thought, okay, when they pair her up with Salim, she's going to get a lot better. But actually, I think she kind of made him worse. Like I mean, it's like she seemed like to be that character to bring these other characters down with her. So the idea that she didn't do that with Mad Sweeney just shows how great of a character he
Speaks to his
actually
character.
was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And I felt like they didn't really give us closure on his character. Like,
feel
you
like they
know,
didn't either. And
there's so
I've
much
heard
left
a
unsaid.
do what?
There's so much left unsaid, because, like with all the flashbacks and getting to
Yeah,
know his character, and then just the
yeah. And I feel and I'll tell you another thing that I kind of feel with it is I've got a lot of comments about answer us um about how well he dies in the book. So, you know, it's going to happen on that. But I'm kind of like they've expanded on so many of these characters that were from the book that I'm like, this is almost a whole different story than what it is in the book. I mean, yes, of course you could say Mr. World being Loki and all of those things that they were going down that route. But I'm talking about a lot of the side characters like a Mad Sweeney that really wasn't emphasized that much in the book, really had a significant role in, I would even say Laura, had a significant role on the storyline in the series. So I'm like, I don't care if he died in the book. Just because he died in the
Yeah, well,
book
I
doesn't
mean, I
mean.
figured they were going to figure out a way to bring him back.
I'll be honest with you. Watching season 3, uh, that was the only reason why I even remotely cared about her storyline. Laura's storyline is because she had his ashes, and that was it. That was the only thing. I was like, she might be the reason he can come back. And of course,
Mm.
he didn't come back. And I really felt like season 3 really lacked his presence. And
Yeah,
simply because not only did it lack his presence, but like we were saying, it made Laura such a terrible character
yeah,
on it, so it had more lasting effect. You could say, well, Mr. Nancy was missed on the show, and rightfully so in a lot of ways, but he didn't. His lack of presence on the show didn't make any of the other characters worse. Like what having not having Mad Sweeney on the show made
except,
Laura worse.
well, I would say I kind of felt like without Nancy, the Bilquist character suffered a little bit in my eyes.
I could see that to a certain extent. I felt like they were trying to
Because they were
put
going
her in the
down the road
role.
with that.
Yeah, I thought they were trying to make her the new Mr. Nancy in a lot of ways. And her character wasn't as charismatic. I enjoyed her character, but I felt like
Yeah.
her character wasn't as charismatic as what Mr. Nancy was. I
Mhm.
felt like he just could say these things and could frame it in such a way that it was heartfelt and you could really feel the depth of it. But when Bilquist would say something, I'm like, uh, I didn't. It didn't have the emotional aspect to it quite as much
Right.
as what it did. But you know what? I will say this. Just let me ask you this question: when it comes to season 3, do you think if they did have Mad Sweeney on there, do you think it would have changed season 3? Do you think?
I definitely think so. I think it would have made it a much stronger season.
I think it
It's
kind of would
just
have.
like what we were just saying a while ago. We wouldn't every time Laura Moon come on set, we wouldn't be like, here we go.
Yeah, I know. I know. I
And
mean,
so yeah, I think it would have changed season 3 drastically.
I think when it comes to Laura, I mean to Mad Sweeney, I mean in season 2 when we got to learn a little bit of his backstory, that made his death all the more tragic. Like,
Yeah.
I mean that learning about
And
his
that's what I'm
backstory.
saying. We never got any closure on that because
No,
it
no,
just ended kind of abruptly with him. So
no. If he would have been like, because he kept telling Mr. Wednesday, it's like, you owe me a battle. And I felt like he never gave him the battle that he deserved. That you could say,
it
well,
did.
he fought with
But
Shadow Moon, but that
and
wasn't
then
really the battle.
when he died, he was like, "You idiot! I would have gave you your battle."
Yeah, I know. And I kind of look when he died. The scenes right before he died, I knew what was going to happen. I knew that in some form or fashion he was going to die. I didn't think it would be as permanent. I really
Yeah,
didn't. But
yeah.
but I felt like he was probably going to die, and I didn't really understand why at that moment he was choosing to do that necessarily.
Yeah.
Was it because he had? Was it because he felt like he had lost Laura? Was it? What
I do
was?
think that was kind of like the final straw that broke the camel's back type thing. Like that was his
The,
last stretch.
the I mean, and I kind of thought, right before that, uh, the idea that look, I think to a certain extent he hated the idea that he loved her. I mean, and to me that was kind of a tragic in his own ways,
Yeah.
because it's like he didn't really want to love her, but somehow he had found himself in this predicament where he did. And I think he probably looked at Shadow Moon and been like, okay, seen what it's done to you, and now what is this going to do to, this is eventually, her love is going to be my death, basically. But it
And it
actually,
was.
her love actually his love actually turned out to be her life, which is
Yeah.
kind of ironic in that way. But,
Yeah.
I couldn't ever figure out why she technically blamed herself for it, for his death. I didn't feel like she was the root cause of it, in that regard, for
Not
all the
in that
bad things
way,
that she
like
did.
not in a way that she would know, oh, it's my fault.
No, I felt like when she kind of even said those things, I don't know if that was necessarily the case,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed the fact. Look, they did when they did that whole episode. I forget if it was in. I think it was in season one, where it was a whole episode that dealt with him. You remember that, where it was back in Ireland and it showed his whole episode dedicated to his coming to America storyline. Um,
Yeah.
no character has really been given that in this show. And I'm glad that they took the time out with Mad Sweeney to give him that, because it showed that even back then, um, there was some good in him. There was some depth to his character. He wasn't just a drunk that was looking for a fight, that was, willing to attack
Yeah.
anybody on sight. There was more to him. He was going through a struggle. He was a more caring individual than what we had initially seen. And I don't feel like we got that until we got to see, when Laura died and he had a chance to take that coin from her,
Yeah, and then
and
you
he chose
realize
to give
that
it
the
back.
whole fight at the bar thing was he was actually trying to prevent Shadow from making the same mistake he had made years ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't just out of spite or to just a drunken brawl,
No.
bar brawl. It was he was trying to help Shadow even at that point,
And I felt like Shadow didn't do him right at the very end.
Oh, he was like, you promised me you would stay out of the way.
Yeah, I know. Why? I've never understood that about Shadow Moon in this. Why did Shadow Moon feel so indebted to Mr. Wednesday?
Maybe
Like,
he already maybe he subconsciously already knew that was his father.
could very well have been, but at that point, what did that man ever do for you? Nothing.
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah,
really took everything from you. And then,
literally.
yeah, he killed Laura. He's been behind all the bad things that have happened in your life. For all you know, he was behind everything that's happened in your life that went
For all you
bad.
know, he's the reason your mom has cancer or
Yeah.
had cancer. I
Yeah,
mean,
it could have been all of those different things. So we're looking at a really evil human being, which was Mr. Wednesday, that was that really had taken everything from this man, but yet he was still
and
willing to
clearly
kill
takes
somebody over him.
it clearly just took everything from anyone he ever had contact with, honestly. But
Yeah. And I felt
he,
like Shadow Moon never really had the respect, even with his relationship with Mad Sweeney, I felt like he never really had respect for Mad Sweeney at
yeah,
all. It wasn't even this, and I get it. A lot of those characters didn't have respect for other ones, but the idea that he couldn't even see, even after being with Mr. Wednesday, trying to get away from Wednesday in a lot of different ways, he still could not see, just how, or he still couldn't allow Sweeney to kill Wednesday.
yeah,
If he even could have in the first place. That's another thing. Could
yeah.
Sweeney have done it? Do you think he could have?
I don't know. I really don't.
He was a warrior king. He was a god king. Um, I know when they were doing that with Ibis, with the dream sequence where he couldn't even remember his own past. That was incredibly tragic. That was a very tragic aspect of him. I mean, I think out of all the gods, I think he was one that it hurt me the most with it because it made me think, these others, they're still trying to press on. They're still trying to get back to the glory that they once had. He wasn't one of those that was trying to get back to his glory days. He was just trying to get basically redemption for his past sins. Redemption
Yeah,
that really was always out of his, that was something he never could have.
he wanted a warrior's death.
Yeah, he wanted a warrior's death. And it was something that he never would have obtained,
Mhm.
unfortunately, because he never look in those kind of areas. You could not, or those kind of circumstances, I guess you could say. He can never make up for what he did in his past, and I
Yeah,
think to a certain extent he knew that, and I think that really hurt really hurt him inside, knowing that even if I got this warrior's death, I would still never be able to make up for the sins of my past.
right.
And I think that was something that weighed heavily on him. I think that's why you saw the heavy drinking. It wasn't because of the Irish thing that they were trying to bring out. I think it was just, he had literally gone mad. He had lost everything, and that was the only way he knew how to handle the situation. But
Yeah,
I feel like you brought up a very good point when you said that he was trying to help Shadow Moon from the very beginning. Shadow
yeah.
Moon just wouldn't listen.
No,
He just wouldn't listen,
that's
and
why he was so mad about. I watched your husband sign his life over right over there.
yeah, yeah,
You
and
know.
I mean, I wish that they would. My biggest regret when it comes to Mad Sweeney is we didn't get to see the introduction between him and Wednesday and how he
Yeah,
did sign his life over. That would have been a really interesting story. That would be a backstory that, if they're ever if Netflix or Amazon or any of those would ever pick up American Gods season 4, I would have enjoyed to gotten to see that. I would have actually enjoyed just the whole show based on Mad Sweeney. I don't know how well it would have done. I don't know if there's enough fans of Mad Sweeney out there, that it would have garnered a lot of publicity or a lot of viewership. But I know I'd have been watching it.
yeah.
I would have definitely watched it. But I mean,
I definitely would too. I mean that even without him, he's still my favorite character on that show, the entire show.
by far, I feel like his presence on season 3. When I went back and I watched season 3, I realized I was like, oh my goodness, like I see now to a certain extent why it got canceled
Yeah, I
because
noticed.
he
Okay,
was
I noticed the
missing.
absence of Mad Sweeney right away,
Yeah,
right away, and that was something I kind of struggled with as just a regular viewer
yeah,
getting through season 3 without him because I had lost a lot of interest.
yeah, yeah.
So
I lost. I mean, though I think the only thing that made me get through season 3 was the hope that maybe he would come back at the very end. And then when that didn't happen, I was, when she, when that happened and she disposed of his ashes, I was like, well, there goes that character story arc. We'll never get to see him again, and it felt like his end was abrupt,
yeah,
and not in a good way. It
no,
wasn't in a shocking way. It was more in a just an abrupt way that you felt like there was more that could have been said and more that could have been done.
yeah, I was upset with the. I think I would have been upset just because he's my favorite character and
Mm-hmm.
him dying. but him dying just like you said abruptly,
Yeah.
it that bothers me, and it still bothers me.
Do you feel like he needed a? Do you feel like his death would have been different if it was around Laura Moon? Like, would that have been? Would it have made his death any better if maybe his last words were to her and not Shadow? Out of all things, I mean,
I don't know.
would that have
I
changed
kind of like
anything?
the way he went out, like when he was like, "Your spear's in the horde now, motherfucker." So I kind of like the way he went out in that regard, you know. So
But then
I
I'm
would have
like,
wanted it to be some sappy thing where he's like, "I love you."
but then at the same time, I'm like, all that was for nothing. Like because Laura just went and gave Wednesday exactly the one thing that he needed back.
Yeah,
So I'm like, you're stupid. Like you stupid. Um,
that
I would
makes
have
me hate her even more.
look. I actually kind of enjoyed that leprechaun that that went to that place and got that spear back. I would have liked to have seen him in that place and him, fighting off the dog or whatever he said that he had that, what was it, a puka or something like that. And he was like, he's like that dude's crazy. He had this thing, guarding, his treasure trove and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I would have enjoyed getting to see that a little bit more expanded on. But overall, I mean, I kind of disagree with you in that one way. I feel like I would have enjoyed his last moments being with Laura Moon. I felt like
Not at all.
I
For
felt
me,
I felt like if he could have got to at least say his goodbye or just kind of went out in a snarky way where he was like, I love you, you dumb, whatever, or something along those lines. I would have enjoyed that a little bit
dead
better.
wife.
Yeah, yeah. Just go out in the normal Mad Sweeney way. I think
Yeah,
that would have been pretty awesome. But overall, guys, let us know what you think. Do you think that he was missed in season 3 as much as what we think he was? Do you think it would have mattered for season 3? Would it have helped the viewership? Let us know what you think down below. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. And y'all take care.